Okay.
All right, and then it'll take a while. Let's go live. Okay. Okay, and I think we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Literacy is Life. This is our 5th segment and also our last segment in this adult literacy campaign. And so thank you to all of you who have joined us or are only joining us now. We've had some great conversations in the past segments. Again, this campaign is designed to uplift stories of literacy in the community, and to provide resources for community members who may be listening now or on replay. I am your moderator and your guest speaker for this segment, Jessa. I am a community engagement vista at the Alliance, and I am joined with Federico from the Mayor's Office for Adult Literacy. You may have seen him on the very first segment. So he's back with us to share resources from the Mayor's Office. So hello, Federico. Again, thank you for joining us.
Hello, Jessa. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm glad to be here again.
Yeah, we started this adult literacy campaign mid-August. It's crazy to think that September is just around the corner.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and we've had some great conversations after you've joined us. You kind of defined what literacy is, how it's an ever-changing definition. And we've applied that definition to many aspects of the community. So workforce training, family literacy, digital literacy. And, as we've come to a close, we've kind of seen how all these different facets of literacy has impacted all of us in different ways.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it's, now that I've we can reflect on these past segments, it's interesting to see that everyone has a personal story. Everyone has, the reason why they're passionate about literacy, how it affected them when, in order for them to get to this position, this role that they currently are in. I know for me, it was, I'm pretty well off. I can say that I'm pretty well off. I'm educated. I went to school in Colorado. I got a degree. I'm a first-gen student. And just a little bit of this, a background for me and for the audience. I come from an immigrant family in Hawaii. They came to Hawaii from the Philippines in 1982. And I was born and raised in Hawaii, and I didn't really know much about American life. I guess I know Hawaii is different from how it is like in Houston. But I definitely, I have had my fair share of literacy, and I want to say that literacy is important to me because I have gone through that lack of, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know like how to read this at all, and I think my first experience from what I remember when I was struggling with literacy was when I was going to college. And so when I was applying to go to college in Colorado, I had to fill out the FAFSA. I'm sure you know what the FAFSA
Yes.
is. A very long document, a very long process, and it's government, it's government based. I don't know anything about the FAFSA. And so when I did it, I was fish out of water. I did not know how to do it. And that's when it hit me. It hit me like a brick. It was, it was like, you don't know your parents' income, you don't know, all of these things. And I was like 17, 18, not knowing how to do any of this. And so that's why literacy is important to me now. And this work is important to me now, like helping other community members, get to a point, closing that literacy gap is important because I went through the same thing. And again, we try to dispel that that traditional definition of literacy, like you said, about, you know, it's not a lack of this or that, it's more so the skills just need to be developed. And so it's interesting. I would want to see how you got into literacy personally. You know, with my first experience being the FAFSA, you know, uh, people
Well,
want to
just thanks for, it's sort of like a challenge, a question of why I am in the field. I have a personal story that precedes my involvement in literacy, and that is before I knew that it was literacy. As you said, you are privileged, so was I. In fact, very privileged. I came to the United States already college educated. I came to the United States from a very successful and very highly educated family. So I'm not first generation. In fact, probably I am the fifth or sixth generation of my family who has gone to college to college degrees and professional careers. But when I came to the United States, which is what is important to this conversation, I came without English. I came here as an adult because I was in love with an American girl who I married, and uh, she has been my wife for over 36 years now. But when I first came to this country, I did not speak English. I just knew where I wanted to be because I was in love with that girl, woman.
yeah.
Uh, and so funny because I didn't know the existence of something called ESL. I needed to learn English because it was the language of the state where I was living in, the country. I was living in Missouri, in St. Louis, and the Hispanic population of St. Louis in the early 1980s was minimal. So I just needed to learn English. And I didn't know about ESL, and nobody told me about adult education or ESL. So I enrolled in college English, in an English composition, and I started my degree in English because I thought that was the way to learn English, to get a degree in English. Meanwhile, because I did not have a job at the beginning, my wife said, while she was working and I was at home, she said, "Why don't you watch my telenovela?" It was a soap opera that she wanted me to watch every day. So I started watching TV in English to be able to then later retell what I had understood had happened watching an English soap opera without knowing much English. And what happened is I would watch the soap opera and then watch the program that came right after, which was Sesame Street. And I was 24 years old, but Sesame
Right.
Street taught me a lot of English uh, because it's designed for children, but it is very helpful for adults who are learning the beginning of the language. Anyway, that's how I got involved in the process of learning as an adult. I did not know at the time that that would be my job or that that would be my passion. And when I started teaching English, as to adults. About 3.5 years later, I had already moved to Texas. I started teaching English to adults, and that's when the bug, we call it the bug, it bit me, and I really got caught by this passion of teaching adults. When an adult that I was helping, a completely illiterate person who did not know how to read and write, did not know the ABCs, uh, came into my life, and she was an elderly woman whom I was able to help. And that changed her life. It helped her because being able to write and read helped her regain a sense of dignity. And that became my passion. When I saw that adult change her life because of literacy, that was the calling call I said, card. And that's when I got hooked. I've been in the field now 34 years
Wow.
in this field of adult literacy.
Yeah. Well,
So
thank you. Yeah, thank you for telling that story.
You're very
I mean,
welcome.
that's a beautiful story. That really is. And
Thank you.
now yeah, and it's built to this point. Now you are the director of the Mayor's Office for Adult Literacy. You are providing resources to community members. And now where you're giving back uh, essentially what you were trying to be at one point in your life. And so again, this segment is designed to lift these type of stories. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to kind of share resources on both of our ends of one of the biggest things that the adult or the blueprint from the mayor's office is to be advocates for people and create ways to meet them where they are. And I think this is one of the important ways to do this. So I don't know if you want to go or I can go first to share resources. But
Before we share resources, why don't you give me a couple of minutes to sort of recap what we have learned in these the first 4 sections?
yeah, of course. Yeah.
So to me, it's important because the resources have to be there for a specific purpose. The resources do have a purpose to help providers of literacy reimagine literacy that today we see as a much broader field of endeavor than 20, 30, or 50 years ago. We look at literacy not in terms of the need somebody has to read and write, but rather the purpose for that reading and writing. So we are looking at literacy as something that is contextual, something that a person may be able to read and write, but not necessarily at the level that the new jobs or the new employment market requires. A person may be able to read and write, but not understand a prescription or not know how to talk to the doctor about the health issues of their children.
Right.
A person may be able to read basically, but not understand financial literacy. So to me, what is important is that during the last few sessions, you heard from people talking about family literacy and the access to or lack of access to resources, the language limitations among the parents of children in school, the need to develop literacy, not just to read and write, which is very important, but to gain the confidence necessary. I believe that we heard the other day Ernest Lewis say that the adults needed to have the confidence to talk to their teachers, to members of the community, to people at work. We talked about the role of learning disabilities in issues of lack of literacy or lack of functional literacy. I think it's really important to remind our audience once again that is important today to redefine literacy and talk about functional literacy. That is the level of literacy, the proficiency necessary to succeed at work, yes, but also in the community, in the family, to do the things that we take for granted because we know how to read and write, but many people are left without access. We talked about the systemic problems of lack of literacy, the poverty that causes is that circle, the poverty that limits access, but because you have limited access, then you cannot get out of your situation. Limited access to literacy means limited access to better jobs, which means you're going to stay, your family very likely going to stay at the level of family poverty, and that it becomes a generational issue. We also heard from two of our guests who spoke about workforce literacy and programs at the workplace. And we heard Emily Mesa speak very clearly about Evelyn, I'm sorry, not Emily, Evelyn Mesa, talk about very clearly about why. Are you still there? My
Yeah.
screen went, yeah, my screen went blank. So
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I'm still there. I'm still
yeah, I thought that something was wrong with my internet. So she spoke about the importance of supporting the development of skills for employees. And she said something very important. She said that improving language and literacy skills is not just about success in the workplace, but she saw that as important for their employees. She said that she teaches those things to their employees because those are the basic skills employees need. So
Right.
she sees literacy as a basic work skill that she needs. And she said that it was important not just for the workplace, but also for success in life. So I think that all of those things that we have heard then bring us to the resources that we have. What are the resources that we have to address the issue of health literacy, of financial literacy, the contextual issue of what is the need in terms of digital literacy? How much digital literacy do not only our adults, but how much digital literacy do we as professionals, as teachers, do we need? And how much do we have? And then finally, once again, coming back to the context, in what context do we need to read and write? And for what purpose? That is what brings us to the resources that we need to share.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. And yeah, and looking back at all of the amazing guest speakers we had, Kanisha from the director of AmeriCorps here at the
Yeah.
Alliance, Ashley Griffin, an ESL instructor, or not ESL, but adult education instructor at the Alliance, and Zainab, who was a previous student of
Yeah.
our ESL classes. And then, we get to see digital literacy from Jackie, who's, from the mayor's office, and Dr. Christina Robinson from HCC. We have all these different facets and all these different perspectives of how literacy is now not just a traditional definition of, I need to do this or I need to get better. It's the purpose behind why we have to read and write, or why we have to understand certain contexts of literacy. And so again, one of the biggest themes coming from these segments was closing that literacy gap and trying to provide resources for community members who may not know about us. And so again, this campaign is in an effort to close that literacy gap. So, resources at the Alliance, we have ESL and high school equivalency classes right now happening. We're getting ready for our October session. And so, again, this is really important for community members. And if anyone in the comments or anyone who's watching is interested in taking an ESL or high school equivalency class, they can, head over to our website, thealliancetx.org. And you should be able to find adult literacy or the adult education tab, and there'll be contact info and schedules for orientation dates. Another big factor of literacy that is important to talk about is financial literacy. Like you said, financial literacy is also important, and we also not only provide adult education classes or adult education literacy, we also provide financial coaching and financial counselors at the Alliance. So with the help of Houston Financial Opportunity Center, clients are able to have guidance from financial counselors on anything regarding credit, how to open a bank account, how to take out a loan. And again, all that information can be found on our website, thealliancetx.org. And again, this is important for community members at the end of the day. And it's something that we're always trying to find more reach for, because ultimately there just isn't enough. not enough people are learning about us, and not a lot of people learn about our resources. And so again,
Right.
the campaign is in an effort to meet them where they are. And I'm sure you have also a bunch of resources for partners and community members as well. So I know that you wanted to share your screen.
Yeah, I will share my screen in a moment, but basically the first thing that I need to say is that one of the reasons why our office, the Mayor's Office for Adult Literacy, was created
Right.
was to support the field, to
Yeah.
support those providers that are there in the community day in and day out, doing the job, doing the work of helping us address the literacy gap.
Right.
We need to remember that we have a big challenge in Houston, in Harris County, in Texas, in the nation. We have a big challenge addressing the issue of low functional literacy. But the challenge is not an overwhelming challenge. As difficult as the challenge is, it's something that we will be able to solve if we work together, if we share our resources, if we advocate for our learners together, if we come to the table as partners and not competing against each other, but rather seeing how we can benefit from the same resources. That is one of the main goals of my office. And we have many resources in our website. I will share now the screen and tell you very briefly a few things that I will hope that you will remember. So, am I sharing? Not yet.
Yes, I can see.
Yes? Okay. Yeah. So, you said September is around the corner. September is this very same week, no? Wednesday will be September.
Yes.
September is Literacy Month. September 8th, which is just 10 days from now, is International Literacy. I'm sorry, I should say day. That is International Literacy Day on the 8th. The following week, September 19th through 25th, the whole week is dedicated to adult education and family literacy. Is the week for adult literacy events. So if you have the opportunity, be looking for events. The National Coalition for Literacy has events, Pro Literacy has events. The whole country, if you're in the field of adult literacy, you will have events. But importantly, you need to remember to use your social media presence to talk about literacy. Don't let the International Literacy Day pass on the 8th of September without telling your audiences through your social media, today is International Literacy Day. That points out an important fact. Literacy is not just something that we do in Houston because we like it, or we do in Texas and the United States. Literacy is something important in the whole world. There are literacy programs to address the literacy gap worldwide. So that's something that you need to take advantage of your ability to go out there and advocate using social media, using whatever platforms you're comfortable using. And then the same thing for during the week of National Adult Education and Literacy Month. Please do not forget to do that.
Yeah.
Among the resources, go ahead. Okay. Among the resources, simply, I'm putting this on the page. You can look at them. It's our website, HoustonTexas.gov, Adult Literacy. Also, if you have not seen the blueprint, please check out this very dynamic website that we put together in partnership with the Barbara Bush Houston Literacy Foundation, our very strong partner and friends there. HoustonAdultLiteracy.org is the website to get all the information about the blueprint, our goals, our strategies, and what literacy is about. Great. For those of you interested in professional development, TCOL, the Texas Center for the Advancement of Literacy and Learning, has a fantastic professional development portal. Here you can learn about the portal. And once again, if you don't know how to get into the portal, if you don't have an account for the portal, contact my office and we will make sure that you can talk to the people the good folks at TICO to access the portal. They have incredible resources for literacy and adult education professional development for free to the field. Finally, for those of you interested in data, I think that very important for you to remember, you can access all the data. For example, when we say that 1 in 3 adults functions at the lowest levels of functional literacy, where do we get the information from? Are we making it up? Is this fake news or real information, real data? Well, we have data from the NCES, which is the National Center for Education Statistics, and they have something very interesting I invite you to look at is the skills map. You can go to the state of Texas, you can go to our county, Harris County, and see how the problem of low functional literacy is affecting your particular county. And it is done by NCES for every single county in the whole nation. So you can just find your county or the county you were born in Hawaii, for example. You can go and say, this is my county, this is what the literacy problem is over there. And the final resource that I want to bring up to your attention is 311. Many of us are familiar with 311. We call them when there are issues with the city, garbage collection, noises, an animal that is lost. But this is a number that our adults could call to ask to be referred to an adult literacy program. Oh, wow. It has taken a while, but we have developed a provider directory. And if you call 311 and you ask them to be referred to an adult literacy program, for the most part, what they are going to do is call us. So any adult in Texas and Houston calling 311 for literacy will be referred to our office to be paired with an adult literacy program. Again, if you go to our website, this one, houstontexas.gov adult literacy, we have many resources there. And right now, I don't have time to share them all. But thank you, Jessa, for asking me to share.
Yeah, of course. And again, you know, this campaign is to provide resources for community members who might not know about these. And so, you know, as we close out our discussion and a really good conversation that we've had for the past 2-3 weeks, I don't really know, you know, as we close it out, it's important to remember that after this, the work doesn't stop.
Of course not.
The work doesn't stop. We continue to provide resources for community members. We want to meet them where they are, because not only is, again, like you said, not only is Houston facing this, not only is Texas facing this, but the entire world is. Internationally, literacy is an issue everywhere. And whatever we can do to close that literacy gap matters. And so again, thank you, Federico, for joining us.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you again. Oh, sorry.
Yes, you said that the work doesn't end at the end of this session, 5 sessions. Actually, these conversations that we have had over the last 3 weeks only get the work started. Yep. This is an invitation to work with us, to share the resources that the Alliance has, to share the resources that each of us providers and the governor, the office, the mayor's office. These are resources that we want to share with you. The conversation is just a start. And as you said, the whole world is facing this issue of a gap. And the pandemic affected the whole world, but digital literacy and the need to move to the digital space is affecting the whole world. The global marketplace is affected by the same inputs and the same conditions affect the market all over the world. So the problem of literacy is not going away unless we come together and work together.
Yeah,
and I really appreciate your having put together the 5 sessions.
Of course, and you know, as we close it out, I just want to say one more thing. Again, thank you, Federico, for joining me. Literacy now, the definition we've created not only affects reading and writing, math skills. It doesn't just affect one small aspect anymore. It's everywhere. And so literacy is life. Literacy is everywhere. And, educators like you and I have to continue to have these conversations, to answer these difficult questions of how can we get Houston to be 100% literate? How can we get our fellow community members to be at a point where they can gain this confidence to be successful and functional members of our community, because that's what we want.
Yes. As my office says, because literacy affects every aspect of our community life, literacy is the heartbeat of Houston.
Yep, and that's true. Well, thank you again. Thank you to everyone who's watching. This concludes our adult literacy campaign. Catch you next time. See you guys.
Thank you,
Federico.
Take care.